Okay, here we go. All right, so your first step, especially if you're doing homework, is to get your tracing paper checked. I'm checking to make sure you don't have too big of shapes and you have multiple viewpoints and distortion. It's like the whole point of cubism. If you don't have that, then we're going to add it on the tracing paper. Also, I would say I started to get really small in kind of these shapes, so I'm hoping to catch you if you have like super tiny shapes. It's going to take you forever to do this project. Okay, so then remember that you need to put white colored pencil on the back side, and don't put it on top of black paper when you do that. Then you're going to go get the black paper, and then white colored pencil faces the black paper, and you're going to use 2 paper clips. I recommend top and bottom. Put it on there, and you're going to trace out the whole thing. I would lift it up a little bit and see, is it transferring? Okay, so I transferred all of mine, and I wanted to make sure I had a little bit done so you guys could see the process that I'm talking about in your notes. All right, so I don't need to see it on the black paper because I'm looking at it on the tracing paper before you get to the black paper part. It's the same. It looks the same. So I don't need to check that part. All right, then you are ready to begin. So we have a couple things to think about and a couple ways to work smarter, not harder. All right. So before starting the final draft, if you want certain areas to stand out, you want the viewer's eye drawn to that area, you're creating an area of emphasis, then you can do that through color or value. And we're going to try to get rid of your outlines. So we're going to create emphasis with color or value. And usually, because it's black paper, it will be a lighter color or a lighter value if you really want that area to stand out. It says you can start along an edge that you want to be obvious with a light value. So areas that you really want to come forward in space, or you want the viewer's eye to look at, or it's an important part of your drawing, I would go with a lighter value. So looking at mine, I have, it's really hard to see now. So I have like the top or the opening of the coffee cup, the bottom of the coffee cup, the handle, then I have another one over here, and the front part, and then the handle. So I wanted the coffee cup to stand out a little more because it's getting lost in my distortion. So therefore, I started with, and I'm using purple, I'm using violet and yellow, complementary color scheme. And so I did the first or the last technique, the fading from one color into another, and some of my larger areas. And pink is an analogous color to purple, so I made sure I had a lighter pink and a lighter purple, and I was bringing out certain parts of the cup. Okay. So I was kind of thinking ahead, where do I want emphasis to be? What do I want to be emphasized? Well, the whole point of my drawing is the coffee cup, so I want that to show. So I'm not going to do all of it like that, but in key parts that I want to bring out to the viewer, I'm going to make sure it's light in value. Okay, then it says to unify. So you're going to underline unify. Unify means to pull it all together. So it looks like a visually balanced piece. It doesn't look so like separated. It doesn't look weird. You're going to create balance with your artwork, and you should repeat a color or technique in many areas. So this is how we're going to work smarter, not harder. So as you're starting, you want to make sure you have newspaper padding. I would think about what areas do I want to stand out. Perhaps I want to work in those areas first. Although if your practice didn't go very well and it doesn't look very smooth, maybe you want to work in some areas off to the side to start out with. Whatever you choose, you're going to pick a color and pick what technique, you have to include all 4, that you're going to start with. So I'm going to go with, and then this is going to be the steam rising up off of my poppy. Okay, so I'm going to layer 2 colors. So I picked my technique, layer 2. I have my 2 colors that go with my color scheme, like a yellowy orange and yellow. I did that here already, actually. All right, so I'm going to pick another location somewhere in the steam part, or it could be in the coffee cup, I guess. and I'm going to gently outline or overlap the white pencil. So we're trying to get rid of the white pencil and to refine and create clean edges all at the same time. So I'm not pressing very hard. All right, then I'm gonna have it fade down into, so I'm thinking of what direction do I want it to fade in. So I'm gonna have it lighter up here, fading down into the black paper. So I'm gonna start with my first color, circular motion, just like we learned yesterday. And then turn it so your arm is comfortable. So I'm gonna do my next layer kind of in the opposite direction and fading down, going all the way up to the edge. So you want to get clean edges from the very beginning, and you want to try to make sure your first layer is the smoothest you can, the smoothest application you can get, because then you're refining and fixing it as you go, and you won't have to refine at the end. Like, you guys never want to fix things at the end, you just want to be done. Okay, well, to get a good grade, you should refine as you go. All right, so then I'm going to layer in my yellow. I will say, just so you guys know, this yellow doesn't layer very well with green for some reason. Like, this yellow almost, is it canary yellow? Yeah. It likes to be by itself. Like, it really doesn't like other colors. For some reason, it just doesn't layer very well. But I made sure I did a really smooth first layer so that when I put it on top, it didn't look terrible. So then I'm making my own version of yellow-orange with the layering of two colors. And I'm trying to get it as smooth as humanly possible and fade out into the black paper for all my techniques except for that last one, fading from one color into another. Okay. All right, so then I would pick the same colors, the same technique, and put it in at least 3 other locations. So you can see that I did do that with my fading from one color into another. I put it in 3 different locations. Then I used the darker purple, put that, and it was just fade from light to dark. So I put that in multiple locations. Just the yellow, I faded from light to dark, back into light because it's a really long section. And I put it there, there, over here, and I did one at the bottom for balance. And so I'm gonna make sure that every time I add a little bit of yellow, I'm putting little pieces of yellow throughout. It'll help move the viewer's eye around. So when you're starting, work smarter, not harder. Pick your colors, pick a technique, and put it in at least 3 places. If you know you're like, oh, this technique looks really good, I really like this color, I want a little bit more of it, that's fine. Add it in, like, I usually say an odd number. Add it in 5 areas, add it in 7 sections, especially if you have a lot of little shapes. The one thing that you should avoid doing, so up here's an example, is this is just the straight up canary yellow with the first technique, fade from light to dark. So I'd make sure I don't use this same color and same technique right next to it. So this one I used, I think it was this color. So it's slightly different. So then it visually kind of separates and it creates a little bit of dimension. Where this looks like it's on top, that might look like it's on the side. So you shouldn't have 2 of the same color and same technique touching. So that's also why you want to kind of hop around so that you're not just coloring. You're using colored pencil techniques and flipping and changing them. All right, so if you're ready to go, remember that your table number, oh, this one doesn't have a number. This is my checkout set. Your table number on your cover is the set that you should get. All right, go ahead and get what part you need to be working on.